Now, first thing I want to say is I'm not a Cody hater. Please, Cody fans, don't come after me.
It sounds like something you would say right before you're about to launch into some Cody hate.
It does sound like that. It's kind of like, I don't mean to be rude, but and then you say something rude.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Lariat Lounge. This is the home of smart takes, hard hits, and real talk. I'm your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens. Skeener, Clash in Italy is behind us. Normally PLEs like Clash don't really move the needle a whole lot with a bunch of things. And this one, I don't know, man. It kind of fit in that same boat. However, Monday Night Raw, I feel like, was a bit more influential in what's going on than what Clash was. Clash was good. It set some things up possibly for the future. I mean, we did get a new champion. Which that was cool. But a lot of things were just kind of, I don't want to say stopgap, but that's kind of what they were. Also, I found something interesting out about somebody in one of these matches. And we will talk about it once we get past the intro. But before we get into any of that, Skeener, how you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good, man. Finally getting some warmer weather here in Milwaukee, so that is nice, especially given my choice of profession. So
yeah,
nice to get outside. Allergies are starting to become a bear to deal with, but that's okay. I'll accept that in exchange for 70, 80 degree weather.
Ooh, okay. Y'all are in the 70s and 80s. Nice.
Yeah, finally.
Nice. Listen, my allergies have been acting a freaking fool. Like,
oh yeah, might have been rough, but
they've been acting a fool.
Better than the alternative.
You know what? I'm with you on that. But yeah, we got some wrestling to talk about. I also want to run this by you. You down for some 2K26 this weekend at some point?
Yeah, we can definitely get that going.
Yeah, listen, this may or may not.
We can play with the newly released 2K CEO.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's in the game, brother.
Wait, the 2K CEO? Who? I'm blanking right now. What are we talking about?
Strauss Zelnick is the man's name. He's been added as a playable character. So there you go. Who
is he?
He's the CEO of Take-Two Interactive, 2K's parent company. They just put him in the game.
And they put him in the game as a playable character.
I'm in the game. Yep.
Wow. Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the billionaire who sat at the announce table.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like who the F is this guy? But okay, listen, we'll put him in a match. I'll throw a chair at his head.
Yep, he was surprise free DLC.
Yeah, I bet he was free. But you're not gonna charge for that one. But no. Listen, maybe we'll record that and throw it up on the channel. Maybe not. I kind of just want to play a little bit.
Sounds good.
But
I can get the pizza. You know what? You keep saying I keep making the mistake of ordering from that Papa John's that keeps screwing up my order.
Yeah.
But it's starting to pay off because I complained to customer service and I got more in off my next order than the cost of the previous order. So if they keep screwing up, I can eventually get paid to order their pizza. It seems like
reverse engineering the fuck up. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I see you.
My $18 order that they screwed up resulted in a $25 off coupon. So
you know what? To be fair, like that's the least they could have done. I mean, it still boggles my mind how they delivered that, didn't they? They delivered that empty box.
This one. Oh yeah.
That right there, brother. I have no idea. The other day, I was working in the supply room at my job, and one of the aspects of my new job, which obviously I can't talk about, but one of the aspects of my new job is providing refreshments for some of the people that I'm bringing in as new hires, right? And one of the things that we provide for them, Skeener, are cookies, right? And we provide them like little 2-ounce bags of Famous Amos cookies, right? And we order them in bulks. We get these big boxes, right, of all the little bags. Mm-hmm. Tell me why I'm loading up this basket and refilling it from the next day. And I reach in there and I pull out a
sealed empty
bag
one.
of Famous Amos cookies that are sealed with no cookies in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I've seen that before in those in those kind of like big bulk packages.
Now this I can kind of understand because I know that those things are filled on like a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
So it's like the conveyor belt may have just missed a cookie drop and sealed the bag, thrown it in a box, right? And because it's not getting stocked in like a snack machine, then it's not. Nobody's going to catch that mistake. But somebody made a pizza, or excuse me, somebody didn't make a pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. Or if they made the pizza, it didn't make it to the box.
Yeah, right. And somebody had to put that box on that little thing that's like for the to-go. Somebody had to come in, pick up that empty box, put it in a warmer, and drive it to you. Take it out of the warmer and hand it to you.
Yeah, it seemed like a tough ask for me for all that to happen, but
yeah. That's a hard sell on my bad, right? Like how many hands did that pat? Look, we have a whole episode about bad customer service because I have had some horrible customer service stories that I could share with you that would make your freaking head spin. But Skeener, let everybody know where they can catch up with all things Lariat Lounge because we got some wrestling to talk about, man.
You can always catch us on YouTube, the Lariat Lounge. Search up the Lariat Lounge. That's where you'll find all the episodes, all the PLE live streams, past and future, any other content, like some new 2K content that'll be coming soon. All that you can find on our home on the Lariat Lounge on YouTube. Just search the Lariat Lounge. You'll find us. If you still prefer just getting the podcast in audio format every week, we're on all your favorite platforms, wherever you get your shows, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you can find us there. We're over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast. Send us DMs. Keep up with us there. We'll always give you a heads up there whenever we're going live. You can find the links in the stories, but feel free to interact with us there. Go get your merch over at ProWrestlingTees.com/the Lariat Lounge. Right now, there's 6 designs up. By the time you're listening to this, there may be a nice new 7th that I got a preview of, and it looks good. So go there. 6, maybe 7, and an 8th coming soon. That's ProWrestlingTees.com/the Lariat Lounge. And as always, feel free to send us an email at thelariatlounge@gmail.com.
Guys, I'm not one to hype beast my own work, but this new t-shirt design is kind of dope. And
it is.
It's kind of dope. And I had to send it to Skeener as soon as I finished the proofs, and I sent it over, and Skeener likes it. And it's already been submitted at Pro Wrestling Tees. So as soon as the approval goes up, it'll be up on sale for you to pick up one. I am probably going to pick up one just because I think we look cool as hell on that t-shirt. Like straight up, I think we look cool as hell. But hey, we got wrestling to talk about, folks. So we appreciate you. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We're going to get right into it. So enough with the fluff. Let's get to the stuff. So we had Clash in Paris on Sunday. Now,
Clash in Italy. Come on now.
I keep saying, that's like the 4th time I've done that. Clash in Italy. So Clash in Italy, we were in Turin or Torino if you're a local, and it was a good show. I enjoyed almost everything that was on the show. And the things that didn't fit in the I enjoyed, I liked. So there was nothing bad. But this show, as we started in the preamble here, it was almost kind of a stopgap. I think there was more influential aspects of what's happening in these stories happening on Raw, and this kind of opened the door for some of those things to happen. But what happens on Raw, I'm honestly so much more excited about than I thought I was going to be, and that's the start of the King and Queen of the Ring tournament. But we'll get to that. But Skeener, your overall thoughts on Clash in Italy before we start diving into the blow by blow with this card.
It was a good show. I mean, I really liked some of the matches. I really liked Jacob and Roman, and thought Oba and Brock was something. But everything, it delivered. It was a good show. You're right. It did feel kind of stopgap-esque in a way, in that I don't know. We'll get into the specifics and the fallout from each match, but Yeah, I thought it delivered. It wasn't, it wasn't bad. I had a good time watching it with you on the live stream and hanging out with a few of our friends. And
Indeed.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, in 2 years we're gonna be like, man, remember Clash in Italy? But
Nope.
it was fine for what it was.
Agreed. So let's just jump in right into this. So the first match, I'm going right down this what WWE's got listed here, and I don't remember exactly what the order is, but I'm pretty sure this was it.
We opened with Cody and Gunther.
Yes, okay, so they got it correct. So we open with Cody and Gunther. Now, first thing I want to say is I'm not a Cody hater. Please, Cody fans, don't come after me.
It sounds like something you would say right before you're about to launch into some Cody hate.
It does sound like that. It's kind of like, I don't mean to be rude, but and then you say something rude.
Yeah.
But listen, I'm not a Cody hater, but I will say this. Maybe it's just me, but Cody's matches to me are just becoming increasingly boring. Like, I like Cody. I find Cody incredibly capable. I like his character, even though sometimes I feel like his character is written to be kind of stupid. But I like Cody. I really like Gunther. But I feel like Cody's match cadence is so John Cena-esque in its predictable breakdown, predictable moveset that he's going to hit. And yes, he serves as the quintessential white meat babyface for WWE. I'm not mad at that, but I feel like I would be being disingenuous if I said that along with enjoying the match, because I do think he tells a good story and Gunther tells a really good story, Cody's matches can be a bit boring. They're just a bit predictable. And there's another person on this card who I think has some predictable matches too. And I think it's more so the booking of the match and less so him. But this match is a good match. Cody ends up winning this match against Gunther by, in my opinion, what looks like Cody taking advantage of the referee not noticing that Gunther's leg is under the rope. It looks to me like that last pull between count 2 and count 3 is to pull Gunther's leg out from underneath the rope so that the ref doesn't see it. Because technically speaking, if Gunther's foot was under the rope, the ref should have never started the count to begin with. And Cody is doing this thing, and this is why I find it interesting. Because Cody's doing this thing where he is the whitest of white meat baby faces. But he is not above taking a cheat victory, taking a shortcut to a victory. And I'm sometimes on the fence about it. Like, if you're going to be this much of the baby face of all baby faces, I feel like you should not stand for a cheaty victory. And he did come in Gunther afterwards and say, hey, listen, my bad on that one. The ref didn't catch it. And, anytime you want a rematch, you're welcome to come get one. But all in all, fine match. I'm starting to cool off on Cody a little bit. And I agree with some reactions from some people whose opinions outside of Skeeners that I trust online, that Cody and some people on this roster would be so much better off with the storytelling that you could do with them if they would lose more. Like, and particularly lose more in championship matches. Cody doesn't need to win every time he has the belt. Like, he can lose. I wouldn't have been upset if the title changed hands here and Gunther picked up the victory and Gunther is now your WWE champion. And you could send whatever storyline you're telling with Cody in a slightly different direction, or at least with a different timbre and tone around the story that you're telling, with Cody not being the champion. Cody is always better when he's chasing, in my opinion. And whatever it is you're going to tie in with Sami Zayn, because I feel like tonight on SmackDown, because we're recording this on Friday, that we're going to get some interaction between Sami Zayn and Cody. And Sami's going to say something to Cody about what happened in Italy. And I don't know if Cody's going to have some snippy retort against Sami, but I almost feel like this outcome of this match would have been better if Cody had lost. And that's kind of reflected too, in my opinion, on some other matches on this card. I think it would have been better if the other person had won, but that's just my opinion. But Skeener, your thoughts on the breakdown of this match, how the match ended.
I think, as we said on the live stream, both of us kind of thought going in that this may be the time that Gunther takes the title from Cody, which I still think, pending what we get tonight, is coming eventually. I like the match. I thought it was good. I'm okay kind of with what happened. The way it was executed, that finish was not the clearest in terms of camera work, and was it clear to the people in the arena? And I liked the idea better than the execution.
Okay.
And frankly, that's what'll kind of stay as the feud goes on. But like it just kind of was odd. The finish kind of deflated it a little bit, which I
Yes.
get a finish like that is always going to do. Like it's kind of unavoidable that that's a deflating finish. But just the way it was done, I don't know. It just didn't come off perfectly to me. But I am, I'm not upset with it. I'm fine with this continuing to go on, and I'm interested to see how they play this for the future.
Yeah.
Especially considering, we did get a Cody and Roman interaction. And we are
did.
So let's see, do we play more on that? Is that a match we lean on at this at the Saudi pay-per-view? Do we go Cody Gunther again? Because I mean, originally all the dirt sheets were saying, hey, Roman's not going to go to Saudi, but I mean, he was on the show Monday. I don't know what he's advertised for or where he'll show up, but we'll just see. I mean, I think like you said, an interesting angle is that Cody is, like you said, not above taking a win through somewhat nefarious means.
Yeah.
I think that does a little bit for the character development. And we'll see. It would be nice of a person like this Sami Zayn to point that out.
Yes.
And to continue to be the one. Sami is in the role that we like so well against Trick, where he's like, am I the only one that's not crazy here? Like,
yes.
What are we doing? Like,
yes.
And to have everyone be like, no, what are you talking about? But I think that gives him another opportunity to do that. So we'll see. This is another one. Like a lot of these pay-per-views, they're not pay-per-views, PLEs, where the matches don't have definitive ends to the story and they're just a chapter in the story.
Yeah.
It's hard to like fairly review when we don't know where the story's going.
Right.
And I think that's where we're at, is we're in the middle of a chapter. Like the movie isn't over yet, so right. I don't want to comment on the whole movie, but I will say I'm fine with where the direction is going. I think the match was good. I think for whatever reason, they didn't execute that finish great, and it suffered a little because of it, at least.
I was literally going to say that, right? I was going to say the same thing. I'm glad you brought that up.
And again, like, I liked the idea. I like the idea of that finish. I just don't know if there's a way to... It's hard to get that across to the live audience and the TV audience perfectly in the same way.
Yeah.
At the same time.
The execution of it led... So I'll give you my reaction to it in the moment. The execution of it wasn't done well. And because it wasn't done well, at first, I wasn't aware of what was happening in that moment, right? Because at first, it kind of looked like Cody was just pinning Gunther clean because his foot wasn't super duper far underneath the rope. It was definitely crossing that the black barrier between the ring mat and the apron, and that line between the ring mat and the apron is in line with the ropes. So if Gunther's foot was crossing that black barrier onto the apron, then that he was under the ropes. But it was barely there. And the camera angle that they had it on, you could barely see it. So then when it got to the 2 count and then Cody pulls further, right, and Gunther's legs come up further, I'm kind of like, wait, what is happening? And then he wins. And I'm like, oh, so Cody just beat him. And then we get the Corey Graves commentary where he's like, I think Gunther's foot was under the rope. And then they do the replay and you're like, okay, his foot was kind of under the rope. If you were trying to convey that more clearly, I think Gunther was probably meant to have his foot a little further under that rope or even on the rope, and Cody pulling
it's
after
almost
the 2
to
count.
me like it's the way it was, the angle it was shot from belied what was happening.
Yes.
Like I happened to notice like Gunther, when he was getting ready to be pinned after he took the crossroads, he like kind of scooted over,
yes,
and I watched him like throw his foot more out. So I'm like, okay, he's putting his foot under the rope.
Yes.
So that at that point, obviously, I didn't know it was the finish. I was like, okay, the pin's not going to count because his foot's under the rope. And then when Cody did the hook and pulled it under, I'm like, okay, that was weird. And then like I pieced together the finish, but I think shooting it from like the other side made it tough. But yeah, it definitely wasn't 10 out of 10 execution on that.
Yeah, look, WWE is leaning into the foot under the rope spot quite a bit right now. Like, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was it last Friday on SmackDown or was it on?
We've had a lot of foots on the ropes.
Yeah, because I believe it was.
Who did
in the Jade Cargill match?
Yeah,
who she missed her leg, he missed her foot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then
that
Roman
was rough.
did it in the Jacob Fatu match, and Cody did it in this match. I don't know. I mean, I'm not complaining about it because I think that it if it serves the story well, it serves the story well. But it was one of those things that I was watching Simon Miller's channel, and he was talking about the people who were ragging on BFAB for missing Jade's foot, right? And he was describing that from his perspective as somebody who is a professional wrestler, one of the hardest things to do in professional wrestling is a run-in, because with the run-in, timing is everything. Because
it's got to be tough.
Because you're interjecting yourself in two other people, possibly more, and the timing that they have had set up within this match. So there is a bit of ring synergy that you start building with the person that you're in the ring with the referee, etc., right? Playing off the crowd, and now you're interjecting an additional person into this, and they have to immediately come up to speed and immediately get in sync with everything. And he's like, it's just so easy to reach in there and miss a foot. Somebody's bouncing off the ropes. You're supposed to kind of like catch the leg, make them fall. If you miss the leg, you've blown the spot, right? And you haven't blown your spot. You blew someone else's match's spot. And he was like, there's just so much pressure on it. And he was just like, just remember these people are human, and, you know, things are going to happen. And so I get it. But it also then makes it very glaringly clear when you have like Gunther's foot not clearly under the rope and BFAB missing the Jade's foot on the rope spot, that it just draws attention to the fact that, yeah, you did kind of lean on this foot on the rope, under the rope trope 3 times in the same PLE. But now I want to ask you this. So we did get that interaction between Cody and Roman. The PLE that is in Saudi, that's Clash, right?
King and Queen of the Ring. I believe.
Okay. So King and Queen of the Ring. If you were going to do something with Cody and Roman, meaning Cody and Roman hold on to the belts through King and Queen.
I'm sorry, I'm wrong. The next PLE is Night of Champions.
Okay, it's not Clash of Champions.
And I believe, the tournaments will conclude
at Night of Champions.
Which is, I knew that's why I suggested maybe we do Cody versus Roman.
Well, now that's what I'm saying, because if it was King
Roman
and Queen
is still
of the
on the poster, so
if it was King and Queen of the Ring, I would say maybe not.
Yeah,
because the whole thing around Night of Champions, it's what it used to be, was you could pit champion versus champion in these kind of dream matches. But if they're both still holding the title at Night of Champions, which at this point I don't see something happening on Raw or SmackDown and one of them dropping the title. So
yeah,
you could have a little exhibition style match between Cody and Roman. Why you would give that away at Night of Champions, I'm not entirely sure. But you're not booking a story if you're not booking a definitive story towards them, then yeah, I guess you could do that. It could be another primer for a story beat down the line to have them interact. You can set up something maybe for an interaction later. But I'm anxious to see what happens tonight with Cody specifically, because I know that this thing with him and Gunther is not over. That was made very clear at the post show that Gunther's probably going to have something to say about this because he wasn't on the post show. So he's going to have something to say about this. He's probably going to want some kind of rematch against Cody. I would imagine Sammy's probably going to have some problem with that too, because Gunther lost and he wants to be next up. So, we'll see where that goes with regards to the three of them. But
Gunther will definitely be owed another match. So
yes,
we'll be getting that at some point. It's just when and how and what, if any, stipulation, and that is what we will be figuring out, I believe, tonight. So
yeah, this is true. So our next match on the card for Clash in Italy was the women's WWE Women's Championship between Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill. Rhea Ripley was your champion going in. She was your champion going out. So as we stated earlier, there was a run-in. But before the run-in, this was a good match. I will say this. I think this was probably the best that Jade has looked since she's been on the main roster. I think she has very much kind of settled into who her character is. We were talking about that a couple episodes ago. Maybe it was an episode that you never get to hear. But we were talking about it, and she's kind of settled into her character. And I feel like her ring presence has always been there, but I think she's settling into what her style is now. And because she's settling into what her style is, she can concentrate on more of the nuance of telling a good story in the ring. And I think her and Rhea do have chemistry. I know there's some people who don't like Jade, but despite how you feel about Jade, I think to say that Jade and Rhea do not have chemistry in the ring is a bit disingenuous, because they do. And I thought that this match went really well. I thought that the run-in was inevitable. But we got the classic referee catching BFAB, trying to help Jade cheat. We got the big roll and you're out of here, which I love. You do that every night. And and then Rhea just beats Jade, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking through the notes right now. But I feel like Rhea just beats Jade. I don't feel like there was any type of real controversy. Oh, no. Charlotte.
I mean, we have Charlotte, yeah.
Charlotte. I forgot about Charlotte. So Charlotte came out there. And wait, did the referee send BFAB and Michin back? Because I feel like Charlotte kicked their asses a little bit.
They did get thrown out, yes.
Okay. And then
but Charlotte did show up.
Yes, because Jade hit Rhea with Jaded, and she went for the pin, and Charlotte put Rhea's foot on the rope.
Yes.
And caused that rope break, and then that gave Rhea the opportunity to get the take advantage, and Rhea was able to pull out the victory. I remember saying to you when we were watching the PLE that a feud between Jade and Charlotte could be very good. I wonder if
we've been teasing it for a long time.
Yes,
pretty much since the night Jade showed up, right? The night she showed up, we teased this, and we've been kind of waiting for it. I think now we're finally about to get that, and I think at a good time too. At a time where fans are starting to accept babyface Charlotte.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Jade is, like you said, settling into her character, both in and out of the ring. And I think it's going to be a good one. I think, this is the dream feud that some people have been waiting for, and we seem to be going that way. And also, we seem to be done with Rhea and Jade for the time being. I believe even advertised for tonight. I think I saw what's Rhea Ripley's on SmackDown. What's next for the champion? So we'll find out where she is headed, which I have to imagine is something to do with JC Jane, but we'll see.
Well, that's interesting because I definitely feel like Rhea is probably going to get some time off from in the ring until the conclusion of King and Queen of the Ring. Because I feel like whoever wins King and Queen in the Ring is probably going to end up challenging her.
Well, yes, because that is the prize.
Well, it's a championship match.
A championship match at SummerSlam.
Right. But that could be for the Women's World Championship or the Women's WWE Championship. And I
guess you're right. Yeah.
I think it's going to be
I see
Rhea.
what you're saying. I apologize. Yeah.
No, you're good. I think it's going to be Rhea because the Women's World Champion is currently who again?
Liv.
Oh, yes, Liv. So, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Maybe Liv and Rhea get a little break from in-ring stuff because whoever wins Queen of the Ring, and honestly, if it were me, I would love for Rhea to go into some sort of feud with JC Jane and JC Jane not be the winner of the Queen of the Ring. I would love for it not to be JC Jane, not because I'm not a JC Jane fan, because I do like JC Jane, but I think there's so much more story that you can tell with Roxanne and Raquel both being in the Queen of the Ring tournament and both being on the same side of the bracket, right? They're both in separate 4-person matches, and I think it would be really great if Roxanne won hers, Raquel won hers, and then you have Roxanne and Raquel.
Well, bad news, because Roxanne's already lost hers on Monday. So.
Oh, she did. I forgot.
So bad news there.
I forgot. Who won that match?
EO. EO beat Roxanne, Julia, and Lash.
You know what? This is the problem when we record these shows on Friday, because it's so far from Monday. I forgot. You're right, and I remember watching that, thinking to myself, "Damn it! Why did they put EO? Roxanne should have won that match. EO.
I get where you were thinking there.
EO's great.
It's interesting that they seem to. There's not a real direction for Liv or that title right now. Seemingly, I think they obviously weren't planning on Stephanie Vicaire getting hurt, and they have not pivoted to anything in that stead right now. They kind of left that spot on the card, so to speak, blank until we get to the next challenger, whoever that may be.
I genuinely think it's going to be either Roxanne or Raquel. I think we're putting a lot of emphasis on the Judgment Day and Roxanne
definitely
losing.
Roxanne, yeah.
Yes, right? Because we've been playing off of Roxanne ever since Finn left, right? We've been playing that up a little bit. And then we put emphasis on Roxanne losing this match on Monday and Liv kind of trying to give her a pep talk, right? While also kind of seeming a bit disingenuous about it. And we'll see what happens to, well, would that be, so Raquel is not going to be in a match tonight, I don't think.
I don't know who is, because it's the 4-ways they're doing, because the first round is these fatal 4-way matches. Right. Each one has 2 people from each show.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay. So
I'll go ahead. I'll look up the SmackDown preview. Or, I got to be careful, because as we record this, it's already happened.
Yeah, maybe we don't. Because I was literally about to click SmackDown and see if I could see what the match card was going to be.
I don't know what .com will have.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it. So it could very well be. It could very well be that Raquel.
So she could, because so Liv versus Becky versus Chelsea versus Alexa Bliss is next week on Raw, which, yes, Liv is in this tournament as champion, which is interesting.
Ooh.
To say the least, because I guess she could still just be Queen of the Ring. But that's on Raw. So then tonight we're either getting Soul versus Lyra versus Charlotte versus Jade.
Okay.
Or Bayley versus JC Jane versus Kiana James versus Raquel.
Okay, so go back to that first fatal 4-way. Soul versus
Lyra, Charlotte, and Jade.
Okay, so we got feuds already there, right? We got Charlotte and Jade, right? And we already had Lyra approaching Soul for an Intercontinental Championship match and Soul giving it to her. We already had that happen, because that was the conversation between Bayley and Lyra, because they were supposedly trying to go after the tag team championships, and Lyra branched off and ran and got herself an opportunity with the Women's Intercontinental Championship, right? So if I'm looking at that, all parties there are already in feuds. So any person that wins that match, I don't think is going to win the next one. So if they're on the same bracket as EO, on the same side of the bracket as EO, are they on the same bracket or are they on the other side of the bracket?
That match is the other side.
Okay, that's on the other side. That's good, because it would give away too much if they were on the same side, because people like us will be dissecting this. But okay, whoever wins that, I believe, is probably going to lose to whoever comes out as the winner of the other Fatal 4-Way match that's on their side of the bracket, which I'm assuming is the match with Raquel in it.
Nope. Liv, Becky, Alexa, and Chelsea.
Oh, right. That's on the left side of the bracket. So Liv, Alexa, Chelsea, and who else you say was in it? Liv, Alexa, Chelsea.
Alexa. Or Becky.
And Becky. Okay. So Becky's fresh off of a loss. Becky is no longer IC champ. Becky could win. And because they picked EO, I wouldn't put it past WWE to put Becky Lynch over in this match, which would then pit her against whoever wins that other match that we were just talking about. And I think whoever that other person is, because they've already got stuff wrapped around them, they're probably going to lose that match. And so Becky would then be moving on to the finals.
You left me behind a long time ago here, brother. You're trying to forecast too far out.
Well, it's not even that I'm trying to forecast out, but what I would love to see, storyline wise, is for Liv to self-prophesy her own demise. She said at the end of Clash of Italy, maybe I could just win the whole thing and wrestle myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just fan booking this, I would love for Liv to win, get to the finals, and then have to face Raquel in the finals, right? And that's not for the championship. That's for a championship opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? So then Raquel beats Liv, and Liv is in this place where she's got to try and like congratulate Raquel because they're both part of the Judgment Day in the clubhouse, but then also be trying to like convince her to go and take on Rhea Ripley and take her title from her so that the Judgment Day can have all the gold. And we never got a payoff from that other storyline that we were telling prior to WrestleMania, where it looked like Raquel was going to get her lick back on Liv.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would just love to see them pay off that storyline, which is why I went down that twisting, winding road, because I'm trying to get to a point where we see Liv in the finals, Raquel in the finals, Raquel beat her, and then we get the Judgment Day back into good storytelling with Liv trying to convince Raquel to fight somebody else, and nobody's got Liv's back, right? Roxanne's not going to have her back, maybe because she feels some kind of way about something, right? The only person she's going to really have is Dom and JD, and we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, I am excited about the King and Queen of the Ring tournament because the way they've got it set up, and I like the fact that it's no longer just for like a trophy and a crown, but it's a championship opportunity. It just allows you to automatically hotshot and build new stories, and that's why I am more excited about that than I was about the PLE. But brother. So this next match. So this is another match that I have thoughts, and I did not really get to process my thoughts through the PLE when we were watching it. The fact that Oba is in the King of the Ring tournament, I have thoughts. So Brock Lesnar defeats Oba Femi at Clash in Italy in the most Brock Lesnar way possible. We got, 7 F5s?
7, yes.
7 F5s. We got one of those F5s through the announce table. We got the final F5 with Brock escaping the fall from grace, and Brock Lesnar wins. Now, the story that they're telling here is that despite this ass whooping that Brock delivered, Oba kept getting up, and Brock had to drop 7 F5s just to keep him down long enough to pin him. And Brock was content with getting a count-out victory over Oba if it meant that he was going to get the win. I get what the story is that they're trying to tell. I'm not mad at it entirely. I guess I still kind of feel like this is going to culminate in Brock versus Oba in match 3 at SummerSlam, where Oba's probably going to go over, and then we're going to rechristen him at the second biggest PLE of the year after we already did it at the first biggest PLE of the year. I'm going to tell you, Skeens, sometimes, brother, I get tired of WWE leaning on certain WWE tropes. They do it so much with certain things, right? This 1-to-1 and then a blow off, I get it, but it doesn't always need to happen. Sometimes you can deliver us with something that is shocking and just let it sit. You know what I mean? Just let it sit and let it be what it is. That was such a huge moment at WrestleMania. And you cap it with Brock seemingly retiring in the ring. Now, I bought into the idea that, what WWE gave me, which was Brock did retire, but he sat home and he thought about it, and he wasn't good with the idea of going out like that. So he brings his retired ass back to WWE, still retired, to beat up Oba Femi and challenge him to another match, though he is still retired, because he wants to see if Oba can take an ass whooping too. And so now Oba is taking his ass whooping, and I guess he's shown Brock that he can take an ass whooping. And now we're going to go and we're going to try to run this back a third time, because there's no way you're going to leave one of your, if not the biggest star that you're trying to build, with an L to Brock after you gave him such a big W at WrestleMania. You're going to give it back. And because they're following that 3-match formula. I get it. Do I think it's going to be a big match at SummerSlam? Sure, because they've already shown us twice that it's going to be a big match. I guess
here's my question.
Okay.
How do we get to the match at SummerSlam?
The same way we got to this match at Clash in Italy. It's just match 3. Like, they did dick to get us to this one. Like, they did nothing to get us to it.
So I think the intriguing part of this, now that we're here, like, let's take out, like, the big argument is, should we have done more than one or left it? I think we all would have liked to have left it where it was, but that obviously wasn't the plan. The milk has been spilled. I'm not going to go on about, the spilling of the milk, essentially. Where we are now, I'm intrigued as to how we get to match 3. Because I think right now, in the storyline, Brock is content and now is at home retired. So what is going to be the carrot to get Brock Lesnar back in the ring for a third match? And I'm especially intrigued now that Oba is in this tournament and he just won in such dominant fashion on Monday. I guess the one way out of this is, but I don't think they're going to do it, is like Brock shows up in Saudi and costs Oba the finals. I think that's almost too predictable. What if Brock doesn't have a match at SummerSlam and Oba wins King of the Ring and he wins the title at SummerSlam in the main event, and then Brock does what Brock does at SummerSlam, which is show up at the end and confront whoever won the main event. And then we get the blow-off match as Oba's first title defense. I just don't see how, in the story, there is any incentive for Brock to come out of retirement. Unless it's like, hey, big boy, you just won that title, and we're 1-1. Let's see who the better man is.
So here's my thing with this, right? And I kind of feel about this, not entirely, but I feel kind of about this the way that you felt about my pontificating on the women's Queen of the Ring, right? Yeah. That rabbit hole you went down is way more complicated than this story has portrayed a necessity for, right? This story started with Oba and Brock's interaction at the Royal Rumble, right? And then everybody just wanting to see Oba challenge Brock because Brock was looking for a contender for WrestleMania, right? And then Oba stepped up and challenged him. The entire build up to that feud at WrestleMania was 2 big meaty men slapping man meat, right? That's it. Then we get to WrestleMania, Oba beats Brock. Brock seemingly retires, right? The entire build up to the biggest rematch in history, according to the backstage segments, right, was simply Brock wasn't cool with the decision that he made to retire after getting an ass whooping. So he comes back while still in retirement and attacks Oba and wants to see if Oba can take an ass whooping. That's as simple of a story as it gets, right? I think if we're going to keep going down this rabbit hole with them, which we're obviously getting to a third match, I think the KISS rule applies here, brother. Like, keep it simple, stupid. Like, I think that's what it's going to be. I think Oba is not going to win the King of the Ring tournament. I think he's not going to win the King of the Ring tournament because Brock Lesnar is going to show up and attack him and cause him to lose. And I think it's probably going to be because Oba is probably going to have some choice words to say for Brock, right? And it's Brock's going to be insulted, and Brock's going to come back, and he's going to cost him the King of the Ring tournament. And then we get the revenge, I'm going to beat your ass blow off at SummerSlam where Oba beats him.
Also possible.
And to think, who would Oba take the title off of at SummerSlam? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like a Money in the Bank cash in. So there would have to be some build to it. So, I mean, you could build something in that time. I'm not saying there's not enough time to do that. You obviously could build something.
I would say Cody or Gunther.
But not Roman.
Maybe even Roman.
I mean, he's already called out Roman.
Mm-hmm.
He's already called out Roman. And, you know, it very well could be. Listen, if they went that route, let me preface everything I'm saying. Or not preface, but let me put an asterisk beside everything I'm saying, right? If they were to go that route and have Oba challenge one of the champions for the championship after winning King of the Ring, I'd be all the way for it. I'd be all the way for it because that is shaking things up in a way that is slightly unexpected, right? And I'm all about that. All these title reigns do not have to last a year, 2 years. They don't have to last that long, right? I'm not saying you need to hot potato the championship, but if you're trying to build new stars, they need to have some championship reigns. You don't get to careers like John Cena's and Randy Orton's, right, by not having championship reigns. And it's hard to do when you've got two guys who you're putting at the top of your card and they just pass the titles around between each other, right? Which is another complaint that I have. And I'm not trying to make this into a Everson complaint about WWE session, but I really want WWE to really invest in new stars. And that doesn't just mean putting them over. It means putting championships on them. Cody and Roman are bulletproof at this point. They're bulletproof. They don't have to have titles around their waist every time they're on television. They don't have to have it. And so they can afford to lose, and they don't lose any type of name recognition. They don't lose any type of brand strength, and they don't lose any type of position with the fans. So why couldn't Oba win the King of the Ring tournament and beat Roman for the championship or beat Cody for the championship? So I'm down. I'm totally down with the idea. I'm just thinking that WWE in this storyline between Brock and Oba, because they have kept this so rudimentarily, elementary simple, that they're not going to deviate from that and make it complicated by adding a wrinkle. And I don't think they're going to miss SummerSlam. I don't think they're going to miss SummerSlam as Brock's last match. You know what I'm saying? And it's in Minneapolis. I don't think they're going to miss that opportunity. So I think they're going to put Brock in a big marquee match at SummerSlam to mark the finale of his career. I think it lines up way too good. And I feel like they've been building this Oba thing up, right, to conclude this 3-match story arc at SummerSlam. It seems too perfect. And sometimes Occam's razor is true. You know what I mean? Like, it's the simplest path to this conclusion. So why not let the river flow where the river's going to flow? But I would love to see the idea, because it's way more interesting in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe that's just me trying to make that work more than...
Well, and here's the thing too, bro. Like, so I mentioned this earlier. Brock is capable of doing so much more than what he typically does in a quote unquote Brock Lesnar match. And part of the reason why I sometimes have that feeling, Skeena, where it's like, I don't want to see Brock back, is not because I don't like Brock, but it's because I have grown so weary of Brock matches, right? It just turns into how many F5s can you survive? And though I get it, he's so much more than that. He can do so much more than that. And I get some people are like, he doesn't have to. And I'm like, okay, sure, he doesn't have to, but like, why do you want that? Why do you want a Brock Lesnar who is capable of doing more, who can give you more, who showed you that on the build up to WrestleMania? That was an incredible build up. And it wasn't simply because of the juice that they were putting behind Oba, but it was the acting that Brock was doing. You know what I'm saying? The storytelling that he was doing there was incredible. And you can get that level from Brock when Brock wants to do it. But then, you know, you have this match at Clash and it's like, okay, so we're back to standard Brock match. F5, 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 F5.
But
And
if he was going to win and force a third one, I think that's what this needed to be.
okay.
I mean, I don't see another way to write that chapter if there's going to be chapter 3 and not just do that.
I don't
and
disagree.
then when the third one comes,
that ain't gonna work.
That's when it's going to be everything Brock's got for the last one.
You know
Which,
what?
if it is his
I
last
agree.
one, I bet everything comes out and it's a banger, as they would say.
I get that, and that makes good storytelling sense, right? I totally get that. That makes a lot of sense. Brock got beat at WrestleMania. He shows up at Clash in Italy, and he does the Brock special, Suplex City. And you know what I'm saying? Well, actually, he hasn't taken him to Suplex City yet, but
Yeah.
he did.
Despite them chanting for it.
No, yeah. Despite them chanting for it, he didn't go to Suplex City. He went to Tornado Alley. And, he won with the Brock Lesnar special. But yeah, Oba kept getting up. He kept getting up. He kept taking everything he threw at him and kept getting up. So yeah, it does make a good story that if you get to SummerSlam with this, like, that ain't gonna work. That's not gonna work next time. And Brock's gonna be out of moves. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be out of moves to play, and Oba's gonna get him. And that's probably when, Brock accepts defeat, because he didn't accept it in the beginning. He accepted retirement because he got beat so bad, but he didn't really accept defeat. And he will accept defeat at the hands of the ruler. He'll probably shake Oba's hand, right? Raise his hand in the ring, and then Brock will leave for real. So that's a good story. And you know what? I think you sold me, Skeena. You sold me. That beat needed to happen.
If we're getting to chapter 3, then yes.
You don't suspect that they were not going to get a chapter 3, do you?
No. Once we did a chapter 2, but that's what I mean. That's why.
I'm following you.
I was kind of like, it was what it was. If we
go to a chapter 3, then you have to have this as chapter 2.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
I got you. I'm with you. 1,000%.
And I get most people are still hung up on why was there even a chapter 2, which I get. Like, we're on the same page, I think, there. But once we're here, let's do it the best we can, and that, I think, was part of it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. And I think if there was any deviation from that thought process, it would be, I'm glad that because we're here maybe because they actually have a real story that they're trying to tell. You know what I'm saying? And less of, we're here, let's hope they make something good out of it. Because it looks like if they're going with the path that you just laid out, which I've stated many times now, I think that's a great story to tell. If that's the path that they're going, then okay, I am all on board, because that is a great story to tell. It's like, what does Brock do when nothing works anymore?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He thought just being Brock Lesnar was going to work in the beginning, like it always does, and Oba whooped his ass. And then he came back at Clash in Italy, and he hit him with his tried and true classic, right? And Oba kept getting up. He beat him, but he was content with that count-out victory if he could get it. He had to hit him with 7 F5s to get it, and he still was getting up at the end of the match and calling for more. And for Oba to then be ascending through the ranks afterwards in the King of the Ring tournament, right? And just showing that Brock and what Brock did to him is not enough to keep him down. That could be enough for Brock to overplay his hand. You know what I mean? That could be enough for Brock to overplay his hand and come back in and try to get some more, you know what I'm saying, on Oba. And however you get to SummerSlam comes from either Oba demanding the match, right? Or Brock being a bit overzealous, because I'm assuming the wise man is going to be out for a little bit after getting, Braun Breaker through the barrier.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be advocating for Brock. And so maybe Brock gets a little overzealous, overplays his hand. You know what I'm saying? And Oba wants some match because Brock interfered. Brock's like, fine, come get it. I'll give you the same thing you got in Italy. And he's not ready. Brock is not ready. And that's a great story. Damn, Skeena, that's good. That is good. You have legitimately sold me on that. You have legitimately sold me on that.
And before we talked about it. Oba wins his King of the Ring first round match on Monday, beats Penta, Solo, and Carmelo Hayes. But how great was that the entrance spot, essentially? Oba's finishing up his entrance, getting in the ring, as he's getting in the ring, everyone tries to jump him one by one, and he takes care of them and then finishes his entrance.
Yes, and then finishes his entrance because the music never stops playing.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, listen, bro, that is how you make somebody look like a damn champion. It is by letting their music play and still have them clear the ring and make his pose on time. Like, I mean, what a freaking stud. This guy is a bona fide star. He just has all of it. And honestly, you know that he's got all of it and he's a bona fide star because Carmelo and Penta and Solo lost nothing in getting wiped out like that. They lost nothing because you set him up with the Brock Lesnar thing. It's like, dude, of course they're not going to get over. You know what I'm saying? Of course they're not going to get over on Oba. That's not going to work.
And here's the thing about like Oba taking a loss. I think it's in the long term. We're looking for his whole career. It's better for them to go ahead and figure out how Oba loses now.
Agreed.
Than to get yourself in a situation where you don't know how he can ever possibly lose.
Yep. Yep.
Because that gets you in a bad situation if he had like just run through everyone and run through the title and gets everyone. Yeah, that's good in the short term, but like then how do you ever beat him?
Right. I mean, that's
like,
Goldberg.
Give him a possibility of like, even though it took like everything that kayfabe, one of the strongest wrestlers ever has had, to beat him. There is a way.
Right.
He is not unconquerable. He is human, which again hurts him maybe in the short term, but in the long run, at least he can be beaten. You don't get in a situation where Obafemi can never lose.
Yeah. I mean, well, you're absolutely right. I mean, you show how Oba handles a loss. Right? You train the audience on what to expect from a loss, right? With Oba, which is he's just going to bounce right back and just go back into what it is that he's doing. He's going to take the L like a man and he's just going to keep it moving, right? And it works. You've already conditioned the fans into what to expect and how he's going to handle a loss. And like we were saying, yeah, you're absolutely right. You don't want to put him in the position that Goldberg was in WCW. Where you set him up and it's like it's cool in the interim where he's just running through everyone and beating everybody. But then at some point you put the title on him. And when you put the title on him, now you've got a problem. Because now you've got your title locked into something and now you got to figure out how do you make the undefeatable defeatable, right? Who is going to take that title from him? You've set him up to be the unstoppable force. So what do you do? How do you do it? Honestly, I worried about that to an extent.
Yeah, we had talked about that going into WrestleMania, that like if he just runs through him, like how do you conceivably not just be like, okay, within 2 months he better be running through Roman Reigns for the title if he can just do this. But I think they've definitely gotten away from that for sure. But like, yeah, the loss didn't, to me, change much of anything standing wise because look what they got from him on Monday and how the crowd was still reacting.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, he didn't lose anything. But no, yeah, I think this is being probably played the right way. Well, not probably. It is even played the right way. They're handling Oba well.
If they were set on doing a 3-match series, then yes. Again, the argument is, would it have been better to just pivot and leave it at 1? Time will tell, and we'll be able to answer that at the end of our probable Chapter 3 that we get.
Yes. And by probable WWE, I mean, yeah, y'all better do it. If you leave this thread untied, holy shit. Like, what a fail. Like,
we don't think that's gonna happen.
No, I don't. But WWE has done things sometimes, and it makes you scratch your head. It makes you scratch your head as to why that was a choice that was made. Right. The only conceivable way, Skeena, I could see something like that happening is if they were pulling this angle and nobody squared away with Brock that he wanted to come back. That's the only way I could see it. Right. Is that Brock they didn't square this with Brock. Brock doesn't come back, and you just move away from this, which is.
But here's the thing. Like, frankly, I don't think that would ever happen because I bet there's always a number for Brock to do it, and Brock doesn't give a shit. He'll go out there and lose. Just pay him. He'll do the business.
Yeah, he's certainly not one of those like those old school guys.
No, he doesn't give a shit.
No, and in some ways it's bad, and in other ways it's good.
Yeah,
in other ways good. So the next match on the card, Sol Ruca defeats Becky Lynch to win the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Did I think that Becky was going to lose to Sol? I don't think I did, but
I think you did.
I mean, I predicted it.
You at least did when we predicted it before.
I predicted it.
The match.
I predicted it, but did I think that my prediction was going to happen? I don't know if I really believed that. I wanted it to happen. I really wanted it to happen because I do feel like Sol Ruca she's ready. She's ready. She has an it factor to her, and it's not simply her abilities in the ring. I think she's got an it factor that the fans are genuinely resonating with, and she's got a character that they like. And WWE did a really good job of taking advantage of that, setting her up well. And this was something I was alluding to earlier in the show. So I found out that our referee, Jessica Carr, she is a trained professional wrestler.
Here we go.
She is a trained professional wrestler. So do I think it is possible that we get Jessica Carr versus Becky Lynch at SummerSlam? Yes. And I'm going to tell you how. Becky Lynch is in the Queen of the Ring tournament. Mm-hmm. Whether it is the 4-way and she loses, or it is a one-on-one match, she wins the 4-way, right? And in her one-on-one match to get into the finals, she loses and she believes it's Jessica Carr's fault, right? She believes it's Jessica Carr's fault. And she either attacks the ref and we start building to this or something. But the second I found out that she was a trained pro wrestler and not just a referee, dude, this is a match made in heaven. I am so ready for them to come to blows. It is such a great story being told within other stories. And when was the last time we did a story like this? I don't recall the last time we had a ref be this involved in a wrestler's goings on since like Lil Nate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think the story is just writes itself.
Well, Brad Maddox. Don't forget about the whole Brad Maddox saga.
So did he start on screen as a referee?
Yes.
Oh, he sure did.
Yeah, like as like CM Punk's paid personal referee or something, right? He was facing Ryback, is that?
He did. He wore the tightest shirts. I mean, his shirts were always like his buttons were holding on for dear life.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think that was. Maybe that was. I think that was Ryback and Punk's Hell in a Cell, and Brad Maddox like low blowed Ryback and then did a fast count.
Old Mad Braddocks.
Yep.
Oh, Mad Braddocks. I remember I heard that was what his ring name was when he got fired from WWE. He was Mad Braddocks.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did do that. But yeah, Becky and Sol, I really liked it. I thought it was a good follow-up. I thought, once what happened on Saturday night's main event happened, we were pretty sure right there, like, okay, she's getting the rematch and she's winning the rematch whenever that is. And that's exactly what happened. And I think this was the time to do it. So now, now I think, we're seemingly moving on with Sol. We didn't get, was Becky on Raw? Did we see any of Becky on Raw?
I don't believe she was on Raw.
I don't know. She was just in this, she's in the bracket, but yeah. So we'll see. Becky did a great job with that Intercontinental title, but I think it's Sol's time, and let's see where we go with Sol Ruca and her character. But she's obviously great in the ring, but we'll see if she can develop this character and keep going, because I mean, we have no questions of her in the ring, but I think Becky did a great job. I mean, she may not be done orbiting this title, but even when she wasn't the champion and AJ Lee wasn't, neither of them were on the show. I mean, this has been Becky's title, essentially, for a long, long time.
Agreed.
And even when Maxine and AJ had it, like, it was still Becky Lynch centric. So we'll see if Becky moves out of that space or stays in there, but she has done a great job in this space for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, before we move on to this,
we got to move on because I got something to say about Becky. Like,
oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I did. Well, all I want to say was Becky. I wish more superstars would do what Becky did for the IC championship.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, take a step into one of these other divisions and use your star power to build something else up. I would have loved to have seen Rhea Ripley go into the women's U.S. title scene. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she won the U.S. championship and wrestled some people for that, she could do exactly what Becky did for the IC championship.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Like, they probably could have, like, that would have really helped someone like a Julia. Yes. I think. Like, a program with Rhea for the women's U.S. title.
Yes.
But it's not what we got. But
no. But I interrupted you. You were saying what now?
No, I was going to say before we move on, one of your other boys, I want you to check your phone and look at the YouTube thumbnail I just sent you.
Okie dokie.
I want you to respond to that because I love getting you worked up.
Oh yeah, Mr. Stevie Rich.
Notice that was posted after she won the title.
Yeah, So here's the thing. I don't know what it is that he is talking about in this video. So unlike
it
most
can't be
of his
anything
videos
of substance.
Well, look, I'll say this. So one of my concerns, and I think I brought this up to you before. So we've talked about this. So one of my concerns with Sol Ruca is the Soul Snatcher. I feel like that finisher is not bulletproof. It looks great on camera. It looks great in person. But when it does not connect, when the timing isn't perfect, right? It's exposing a bit. And not particularly of her per se, but of just the how the sausage is made. It's showing the insides within the casing. And when it doesn't connect, and it's very visible. And I definitely feel like as good as she is, I feel like she's going to need to develop a finisher that is a bit easier to hit, that does not require an inverted front flip, you know what I'm saying, out of the corner. And for the person who's receiving it to be in the perfect spot at the perfect time, right? All it's going to take is for somebody to not be in the place where it's supposed to be, and it's not going to work. And that's why the last few times she's hit it, the setup has looked so contrived. You know what I mean? It's looked so contrived. When she hit it on Becky the last time, Becky picked her up for what looked like she was going to do a reverse atomic drop, and she put her on the second rope, right? And then when she came in to do the move, pop, Soul Snatcher, right? But if somebody doesn't do that, she's always got to set them up where they're standing in the corner, not down, standing, right? That means the person's got to be aware, conscious of what they're doing, where they're at. And it doesn't make for a setup where you incapacitate your opponent and then hit him with the finisher. That's my only real criticism, but I would be interested to see what he has to say, because I've seen some people make comparisons of Sol Ruca to Lita. And
interesting.
And I don't know if that is because of her current clothing choice.
Yeah, I was going to say long legs and baggy pants.
You know what I'm saying? Or if she's kind of got some high flying, Lita had high flying that was high flying at the time. I mean, if Sol Ruca was around back then, she'd be like leaps and bounds ahead of where Lita was. But, suffice it to say, there are some things that you could comparison wise put the two of them together with. But then again, I also don't know how that could be damaging to Sol Ruca. But
I will say this. Who knows what he's talking about? If he's talking about the Soul Snatcher, fair play, I guess. But if he's talking about anything else, I don't see how it's genuine.
I hear you.
But honestly, I don't even know how the Soul Snatcher would be. The title is so ridiculously hyperbolistic. Has WWE already ruined Sol Ruca?
Yeah.
No. In what world could she be ruined as the biggest women's superstar of all time? Just put her over for a championship to thunderous applause and crowd reactions.
I don't know. I'm going to reluctantly watch that video. at some point this weekend. And I say reluctantly because Stevie's co-host.
You could do so many better things. Yeah, you and that guy.
Oh my gosh, he's insufferable. But I'm going to watch
it. If you can't stand him, I can't imagine what I would feel about him.
Oh, I wish you would watch just so you could tell me.
No,
I wish you would watch. I wish you would watch 1 minute.
I'm too old to watch shit just to make myself mad at this point.
Skeener, I would need you to watch 1 minute, 60 seconds. You can do anything for 60 seconds.
Just hate watch him.
Yeah, okay. I just want you to watch for 60 seconds.
I'll report back next time.
I can get your feeling on his co-host. Do it for me, because not even for the content.
I see the thumbnails and what his channel has turned into since this co-host arrived, so I can only imagine.
Dude, oftentimes, and listen, this is me being as fair as I can possibly be to Stevie Richards.
Which fair play, if Stevie Richards did not have this co-host and this inflammatory video title, we would not be talking about him or his videos at this point.
That's how the YouTube.
If that's what he's doing, that's what he's doing. Yep.
I mean, listen, he could be working the algorithm. That's how it works. It's fueled by rage bait. But I will say this, and this is as glowing of a praise as I will give to Stevie Richards. I oftentimes feel like when I see these incendiary titles on these videos for Stevie Richards, oftentimes when I go to his videos, not all the time, but oftentimes when I go to his videos, it's coming from his co-host.
Yeah,
It's coming from his co-host. Stevie may be on the fence about some things. He may co-sign some things, right? But he has a different perspective. But his co-host is, oh my gosh, his face is so punchable. But yeah, do it for science. Not even for the views. But I just want to know how you feel about it after watching it for 60 seconds.
Well, if he's the reason for these video titles and thumbnails, I know how I feel, but I will.
Listen, the only reason I say that is because I know he does a podcast as well with Dutch Mantel, and I know damn sure Dutch is not putting together his fucking thumbnails and his, you know what I'm saying, and his YouTube video titles.
Well, I mean, I just went to Stevie's channel 6 hours ago. Has WWE finally ruined LA Knight? The thumbnail has LA Knight with in big red letters, buried ? Underneath.
You know what? I'm honestly not in too much of a disagreement with that question, because I see LA Knight now and I still personally like LA Knight, but I also feel like has WWE put LA Knight in a position where it doesn't make sense for him to win a title over anybody that you position above him at this point. You continually put him in a position where he comes up short, where he loses. You know what I'm saying? He gets the great pop from the fans and they like him on the Slim Jim stuff, right? But he doesn't even make the card for Clash, right? What did he do at WrestleMania?
He was in the tag match with the Usos.
Oh, right. On the pre-show.
Against ISO Speed and Logan Paul.
Yes, the first match on the pre-show.
On the pre-show, yeah.
The first match on the pre-show. This was the guy who at one point was challenging Roman in his legendary title run for the championship. At some point,
but so was Cesaro. So
true. This is true. But for every Cesaro, you had a Kevin Owens that was in that pot, a Drew McIntyre who was in that pot,
Montez Ford.
Listen,
Logan Paul.
Here's the thing: if you are going to put LA Knight in the same category as Montez Ford, because there's two categories of people who came out of the Roman Reigns vortex, right? They're the people who are current stars, and there are people who are just on the verge but not there, right? If he's in one of those categories, he's not.
My disagreement is with the hyperbole of it. Ruined, buried. No.
I agree.
Definitively no. A fair video title is, did WWE miss the window to elevate LA Knight to superstardom? That's a fair video title and discussion.
And it's one that would not.
Is LA Knight buried? Right. Fair.
Right. They wouldn't get the clicks. It's just wordy. It's wordy. It's not incendiary enough. It's not going to get people going. It's not going to hit them in their feels. Right.
Right.
And get people to click and be like, what the hell is Skeens talking about? And that's what
Yeah.
that's why they get them there. I operate with a level of integrity that will not allow me to
Right.
name our
I get you.
podcast episodes or videos, stuff like that. But I already know if I were to put some crazy shit on the thumbnail and say some wild stuff, we'd probably get more views. But
And not with this, but with the golf instruction stuff, I've thought about this because every business has the same stuff, but like golf training aids and stuff, you'll see these commercials and it'll be like, oh, you'll get so much better in just like 2 swings with using this product. And I've thought to myself, I'm like, how much, or is there a number of money where I would just forsake my integrity and everything I know and do that? And I think there isn't, but we'll see.
It's hard to imagine that, right? Like it's
Yeah.
hard to imagine that because I think that too. I've thought about that quite a bit with this podcast, not in the podcast. But I also feel like this, Skeeter, and just for us to take a little, Lariat Lounge tangent as we often do, I think that that person who would potentially surface if the money was right was always there. The money was just not right. I think if you're the type of person who would do that, you would be the type of person who would take a free chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, not because it was free, but because they forgot to charge you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that to me is what integrity is. Integrity is what you do when people are not watching. When no one notices and you're not being held accountable, how do you move?
Yeah, well, oh man, that reminds me, I didn't tell you about that. That was like, so like our first day in Kyoto, that kind of happened. So we went into this this store, or not store, like this little restaurant. Yeah. And Kelsey and I both ordered these like bento box meals. It was a bento box place. Yep. And I was pretty sure I was looking at the receipt and trying to be, I'm like, I think this guy only charged me for one. But then like trying to figure out like, I had to like game plan, how am I going to communicate to this man that does not speak English that like, I think you only charged me for one of these. And we did, we got there. I ended up just like Google Translate on my phone. But also like checking the receipt and having to be like, man, I don't want to say this and like look like a complete idiot, but like I'm trying to read the receipt and that was just something.
But that's
happened.
Integrity, and you went through layers in order to act with integrity,
deciphering that receipt. Yeah,
like that's huge in my book. It's genuinely huge. I'm so happy to hear that, genuinely, because that is something that I hold very near and dear. Right, is operating with a level of integrity. Mm-hmm. The other day I was going to work and I stopped at Chick-fil-A because there's a Chick-fil-A right in front of where my office is. And I stopped at Chick-fil-A and they have like multiple lines where you can pull up and go through. And they'll oftentimes send, their people out instead of having you go to like the drive-through window, and they'll go take your order right at your car. Right.
Yeah.
So they were in the transition between taking orders at the drive-through window and sending the people out, right? Mm-hmm. So there must have been a miscommunication. And when I pulled up to get my food, the girl just handed me my food and was like, have a good day. And I was thinking, and I looked at her, I said, I don't think you charged me.
Yeah.
She was like, I didn't. I said, no, I don't think you did, right? And of course she didn't. And so she took my card, she charged it, and then I left. The good thing about when you act with integrity is you feel good about it. You feel good about it the rest of the day. You know what I'm saying? It makes you feel good inside to know that you did the right thing. And the reason why I feel like it's a certain type of person who would sell out their integrity for money is because they probably lacked a little bit of it to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have that voice that's telling you, hey man, that's not cool. And you can, those people are those people regardless. And that's why, listen, we would make no money. Just to be perfectly clear, listeners, the little bit of traction that we would get from a YouTube clicker 3 or 10 or 12, because I put something salacious in the thumbnail or wrote something crazy on a title, is not worth it to me to look at that video and feel like, man, I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have posted that. That's stupid. And so you won't see me do it. But other people don't live like that. And so Stevie Richards, to me, is guilty by association, because even if it's his co-host who is like, hey, I'll take care of all this. I'll post these thumbnails. I will, guide us through these stupid conversations, right? You're putting your name all over the you know what I'm saying, the YouTube channel because it gets views, because people know who you are, and you put your face all over the thumbnails. So you are just as guilty by association, even if you are not the mastermind behind it, you're the face of it. And you can't escape the hate. So yeah, listen, integrity, it matters. And I think the people who have it, and the people who don't have it never had to begin with. So
that was your weekly Lariat Lounge tangent.
Yeah, listen.
Far away from.
We should put a rainbow that goes where the more you know.
So there you go. Sol Ruca defeats Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental title.
Yes, and I think it was a good move. It was a good move, and it frees Becky up for her feud with Jessica Carr at SummerSlam. Like, you got to give that to me, WWE. You've been laying way too many breadcrumbs for this to just be a thing that you never pay off. But then we get to our World Heavyweight Championship match. Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu for the title and for the head of the table. And
for the Ulafala in tribal combat.
For the falafel. And Roman just beats Jacob, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
am I missing something?
Yeah.
Did I forget something?
Well, you were having an internal debate on whether or not you thought it was cheating for Roman to use the turnbuckle
in their previous interaction. This time was tribal combat.
But he used it again. Yeah.
He did. He took multiple turnbuckles off. He took multiple turnbuckle covers off. But this was tribal combat.
But he did do it like in the match. He said he didn't need it, and then he did use it.
And then he did use it. Right? And listen, it changes when the rules permit it, right? Tribal combat, anything goes. So the fact that the Usos didn't get involved is big for me, right? Tribal combat between two of them, anything goes. They could pull out whatever they wanted to pull out, and Roman took some turnbuckles off, but he just beat Jacob. And Jacob was forced to fall in line, and he did on Raw. He just straight up admitted that he lost. He also stated that, like, he ain't bending the knee to Jay's punk ass, but
yep,
he's gonna bend the knee to Roman, his tribal chief. He threw the one up. He seemed to just resign himself to his fate, fall in line, and act right. But before we get into Raw, though, with that segment, Roman, after forcing Jacob to fall in line and they're leaving the ring, who is at ringside? Solo and MFT. They're at ringside. And I believe Roman, it might have been this, or it might have been on the SmackDown prior, or Raw prior. But Roman stated that, like, he's next. They're next. So, first of all, Skeener, I want to just ask you about the match, your thoughts. But secondly, I want to ask you, what do you feel are the odds here that we get a bigger version of the bloodline than we had the first time, where Roman subjugates Jacob, then he subjugates Solo and MFT, and they all fall in line under Roman? Because that's what LA Knight keeps going on and on and on about, is that, we fought so hard to make sure that the bloodline was destroyed. Now the bloodline is back, and the people who should be trying to make sure this doesn't happen again seem to be glad-handing with Roman and doing his bidding. And,
Adam Pearce, for example, as LA Knight.
Yeah, trying to be an honorary Oos.
I hadn't put much thought into that, like whether we get one reunited bloodline at full strength. I mean, it's possible. I just hadn't really considered it. I'm not sure that's the way they'll go, but like, the bloodline has proven, like, all the business metrics are going to say, like, the bloodline stuff does well for WWE. And at the end of the day, they're in business and they're going to do what makes money. So I could see that. I hadn't really considered it. I don't know if they will go that way, but I am interested for this chapter where Jacob is unwillingly fallen in line. Because I don't think we've had that to this extent. Like, I guess we kind of had it with the Usos, but they more fell in line and accepted, like, that, or changed their view that, like, this is the way it should be. I think it's more interesting if Jacob like is definitely begrudgingly falling in line and still like carries the well, I don't have to listen to you, Jay, or you, Jimmy. I just have to acknowledge my tribal chief. And I think that's the way they're going to play this, and that is intriguing to me as is the solo angle, which we talked about on the live stream. Like, and we'll see how much they do tonight if Jacob is on the show or if Solo addresses it. Like that, Solo can come back and be like, "See, I told you, Jacob. Like I told you." He just wants to control you, and like here, you were my family, even though obviously Solo was doing the same thing, but that's what makes it good.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, we'll see where it goes. As far as the match goes, I really liked it. I thought it was entertaining. It's exactly kind of what I think we thought it would be. Just that wild brawl, no rules, all sorts of things, pulling out toolboxes and the steel steps and the tables and all that. I, like you, was surprised we had no Jimmy and Jay involvement, but I also think like I didn't really expect them to elevate Jacob to a status like in canon as like a superior competitor to Roman right now. Because Roman is not as black and white the heel, and people are cheering for him. So I think to have demonstratively put someone above him would be a weird space to be in. If Jacob was going to win, Jacob would have needed to do it with the help of some allies. And I think the point, and where we can get into the Solo stuff, is that like he didn't have allies, but he had a chance he could have had some allies. So I think it'd be interesting if we see Solo say like, "Hey, I think you could have won had someone helped you. I could have helped you, but no, you didn't want that." So we'll see where it goes, but I liked it. I like where it's at for now. Like we've discussed with Clash of Champions coming up, does Roman get involved with Cody? Does something else happen with Roman? We'll have to wait and see there. But I am intrigued to see how the MFT involvement with this plays out.
Yeah, this is the one match, Skeena, that I genuinely felt like should have gone the other way. And I think it would have been such an interesting wrinkle to the Roman Reigns character. I think it would have served Roman better than it served Oba with Brock, right? Like, I feel like if you had swapped those outcomes and you had Oba beat Brock a second time and you had Jacob beat Roman, like, what does that do to the bloodline, right? You essentially have Jacob playing the role of the despot, right? And now he has the keys to the kingdom. It's like, how does Roman fall in line when he's not the tribal chief, right? There's such an interesting story as you can tell as far as like Roman now being on the same level as Jay. You know what I'm saying? The same level as Jimmy. Like, you can bring in so many of those other elements that you introduced before. Like, Roman can't talk to Jay like that no more. Roman can't talk to Jimmy like that no more. Like, you're not the tribal chief anymore. And then you can have Jacob, who, you know, you could play him multiple ways, right? You could play Jacob in the sense that, you know, oh, I'm the tribal chief now. Like, all this other stuff that y'all was doing before, we ain't doing that no more. Like, we're doing this my way. And it could be very unconventional, and conventional being the way that Roman does things. Or Jacob could still be himself, but despite the fact that nobody wants to admit it, Jacob could be running a better bloodline. He could be, you know what I'm saying? He could be treating people in a way that Roman did not treat them. Roman, and his reflection on his time as the tribal chief, his reaction to having to be subordinate and bend the knee to someone else. There's so many things that you could do creatively with that. And I feel like you have some ways that you can go here with Roman winning. You absolutely do. But is this not unlike any other position we've ever seen Roman in, right? Like, this is what I was talking about earlier, where if you're going to start making new stars, right? And I'm not saying WWE is doing it completely wrong, but if you're going to make new stars, don't be afraid to take the title off of some of your established people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have Cody and Roman trading titles, amongst themselves. Cody keeps picking up the same one, right? Roman's jumping in between the two, and if it's not one of them holding the belt, it's CM Punk or Seth Rollins, right? Like these same four people are holding the titles all the time with little intermittence of other people that you have taken years and years and years to elevate to the top, but you won't ever really push them through the top, like Drew. Drew will be thrown in there intermittently. You know what I'm saying? To kind of...
That's kind of what it... But that's kind of how it's always been, at least for the past 25 years.
Yeah, but why does it have to stay the same? Right? Like why do we have to continue to do the same thing because we've done it the same way?
We don't. And to speak before we get too far away from it, from what you said with Roman and Jacob, I agree that creatively and for the possibility of storytelling, yeah, Jacob winning and becoming the tribal chief, like that opens up entire new unexplored avenues. But I think the reality is that not only does that do that creatively, but like, are you ready to pull the trigger on Jacob supplanting Roman there in like a business sense as well?
It never would be.
And I think, well, yes and no. Like, there is a little bit of that, like, if Jacob beats him, like, Jacob is now going to be seen as, like, the guy. There still is a little bit of that element to it. Even though we all know, like, yeah, it's not real. It's predetermined. Roman is still the top guy, but, like, that's just not something that happens to top guys.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Very often. I don't think now is the time to do that with Jacob Fatu.
Well, here's the thing. So I don't believe that would have happened with Jacob Fatu, because I don't believe that Jacob Fatu is that guy in the sense of who the company is positioning as their face that runs the place, right? I don't think it's him. But then again, if you really think about it, Skeena, through the history of WWE, through the last 25 years or so, the person who holds the title doesn't always have to be that guy, right? There will be a guy who the company deems as that top guy who they'll send on Good Morning America, and they'll send to Jimmy Fallon, and they'll send to do all the promo stuff like that. He could be the champion, but he may not always be the champion.
And I agree with that. If it was any other situation except what they've built Tribal Combat and the Tribal Chief to be. I think even though we all acknowledge, and now it's widely acknowledged by everyone, like, it's scripted entertainment, I think it's too much for your top guy to be kneeling and subordinate to someone else on the main show.
Well, I mean,
as silly as that is. Like,
I don't think that matters.
I don't think your top guy can be acknowledging his tribal chief, which is someone who just beat him.
I don't know, and this is just obviously my opinion. I don't know if that matters at all, because I don't think that the audience that you would be pitching your top talent to, and I'm gonna use the term talent to separate talent from talent as an individual that the company is in contract with, that they see as a marquee to put in places like Good Morning America, talk shows, movies, stuff like that, right? Top talent. And then I'm going to say like a top star as the person that you're putting at the top of the card for your programming, right? I see these as two very different roles. And oftentimes they can be occupied by the same person, but they don't have to be. They don't have to be. And I don't think that they cater to the same markets. I don't think they cater to the same markets at all. The people who care about the top talent oftentimes don't care at all really about what's happening on the damn show, unless they are trying to market a show, right? If Roman Reigns goes on Jimmy Fallon, he's going on Jimmy Fallon for two reasons. One, because either he's promoting Street Fighter or it's the build up to WrestleMania, right? And both of those scenarios is for two very different reasons. And Jimmy is going to ask him questions on those two things specifically because that's what they're there for, right? So if he comes up there and he's promoting Street Fighter, Jimmy's going to ask him talk a little bit about, oh, wrestling, how's wrestling, stuff like that. But they're going to be talking about Street Fighter. They're going to be talking about what's the filming process like, being a big movie star, what's the red carpet stuff like, blah, blah, blah. Has nothing to do with whether or not on programming last week, you know what I'm saying, he got beat by Brock Lesnar. They're not going to talk about that at all because the audience is there for that person. Roman Reigns as the talent, don't care about that. But if they send him to Jimmy Fallon, hold on. But if he send him to Jimmy Fallon as promo toward WrestleMania, right? Then that's all about the marquee build of the card, right? That person is going to be billed as the top star for whatever the show is that they're putting on. And he's going to be sent there to put the show over, to put the match over, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Chris Jericho has been that guy in the company as the star many times over. Chris Jericho was never the guy as the talent. They never sent him to do talk shows. They never sent him to do those things because the company never viewed him that way. But it never stopped him from winning the top tier championships, from beating top tier guys. You know what I'm saying? That they would send those things. He beat Cena, if I'm not mistaken. Cena's lost the title to Jericho, if I'm not mistaken. Or Jericho's been a champion while Cena was a top guy.
Yes.
So Cena, when he was there in his prime, Cena was always that guy. He was always the top talent. He may not be the top tip build star. He may not have been holding the championship, but he was always the top talent. I think Cody, Roman, those two guys are right now the top talent. They're going to be the top talent. They're always going to be the top talent. When Punk was a champion, they never sent Punk to do a bunch of this stuff that they would send Cody to do. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't view him as that top talent, but he was the top build star at the time. So I could see somebody like Jacob beating Roman, being the top build star because that's the story that they're telling, right? And they're far enough away from these huge pay-per-views where you're going to be sending your champion to Good Morning America and all these things, right? So that you don't have to worry about sending Jacob there. But I bet you if it was going into WrestleMania and Jacob was a champion and Roman was challenging him for the championship, you know who they'd send to Jimmy Fallon? Not Jacob. They'd send Roman because Roman's still that top guy. He's the guy that people face they know, whose name they recognize because they pushed him as the top talent. Jacob doesn't have to be that top talent guy to be the top build star. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
no, you're good. You're good. And we don't need to belabor it. I think while I agree with everything you said, I think it changes when the stakes that happen when Roman loses this title to Jacob is that Roman is stripped of his entire ethos and has to bend the knee to someone else. I just think that is a visual, even though it's in storytelling and not necessarily just a visual, but an idea and a way of thinking that Roman is now subservient, that is not something the company is ever going to make their top guy do. He can lose, but he's not going to acknowledge someone. While that would be super interesting storytelling and opens up a ton of avenues, I just don't think we're ever going to see it because of the subtext of what that can mean.
So what you're then saying is that Roman has ascended to a status level based on in-story.
Like a John Cena would have never done that, yes. Like a Hulk Hogan wouldn't have, like a Steve Austin or The Rock wouldn't have.
So what you're saying though is that you're lending credence to the idea of why people couldn't accept Cena tapping to Gunther, because his whole ethos was to never give up, and then he gives up
until the very end. Yes, if Roman like willingly acknowledges and falls in line, that's the end of him being Roman Reigns as we know it right now.
I disagree. And I only disagree because if we're basing this off of in-story dealings, right, then we also have to acknowledge in-story lore. And if we're acknowledging in-story lore, then based on the rules of tribal combat, which he accepted willingly, knowingly, because he is the tribal chief, he understands what the repercussions are if he loses. You know what I'm saying? He understands that.
I agree, but I'm looking at it beyond story. of
Right.
why I don't think that would ever happen.
Right. So here's my thing. If I'm tying it to beyond story, you'd have to lose the fans first. You'd have to lose the fans first because let's not forget recent history. As much as the company tried to push Roman as a top guy, when the fans weren't behind him, the shit didn't work. And it didn't matter what you tried to do, right? So the first thing that he'd have to lose in order for it to really be a tangible thing to be bad for him, if he were to lose to Jacob in that scenario, he'd have to lose the fans first. And I don't think he's ever going to fucking lose the fans. Unless he does some shit outside the ring that is deplorable, right? He's never going to lose the fans. They build him up too big, right? That's one. Two, he'd have to lose the power behind his name. And I think they built that up way too much for him to lose that. You can't say that somebody is a made man the way we do about certain people and not acknowledge the fact that when you're made, it doesn't fucking matter. Like you could lose. You could lose. You could go and do some other stuff. He could tell an amazing story and go through this whole arc of Roman realizing some of the errors of his ways, coming back stronger, being the person that people always said that he was, but he didn't show through his actions. He could have this whole redemption arc where he doesn't lose who he is as the character of the tribal chief, but he gains these other aspects that make him a well-rounded character, leading him into the next decade of his career, right? He could go through his whole arc with this whole thing. That's if you put enough juice behind the story, right? But in order for that not to work, that would mean also that the third thing would have to happen, which is the company lose faith in the power of him in storytelling. And that ain't going to happen either. I get where you're coming from. Totally. And I get where that concern may be, but I also think you took this long trying to build Roman into the star. Then you took this long actually building him into the star, right? I think he is so interwoven in what WWE is right now that I think if he were to lose to Jacob and you start telling this interesting story around him in that position, I think you change the trajectory of WWE. I think you change the trajectory of WWE. You know what I'm saying? And you lead WWE into a new era with Roman Reigns in this position, right? Now, I agree with you in the sense that if you're going to do that...
I agree. And I think we're on the same page that, and that was one thing I was going to say earlier, is that, like, because of how they've built what the tribal chief is, like, it changes the entire story landscape of WWE if that happens. And that's just... I don't think a trigger they're willing to pull with Jacob Fatu right now, as cool as it would be.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, do I think that change would somehow put Jacob Fatu in the driver's seat, however, in a way that would require them to put some sort of personal onus or weight on pulling the trigger with Jacob? No. I think Jacob would be the linchpin to telling the next step in Roman's story. Right? Like, that's the way I look at this. The bloodline, this whole thing, that whole 4-year title reign of his, that was Roman's story. The bloodline was Roman's story. And it didn't matter if The Rock was involved in it. It didn't matter if Cody was involved in it. That was Roman's story. Roman losing that title at WrestleMania 40, right? It was finishing Cody's story, but this was really the conclusion of Roman Reigns' historic title run. It became Cody's story, but I also think and listen, this is big coming from me, right? Who doesn't throw the one up to acknowledge the tribal chief. Okay. This is big coming from me. I think that it was always Roman's story. I think it's the reason why Cody falls in the banks that he falls into now, right? Whereas if he's not chasing something really good, you know what I'm saying? He falls into these lulls of Cody that we can't stand sometimes. He falls into these stories that don't make sense sometimes. Right? His title runs can sometimes run into these spaces where it's just super Cody and he's just doing super Cody stuff, but it's not super interesting, right? Cody needs a particular type of story to be built around him in order for him to be as interesting as he is. And I think that's because at the end of the day, you siphoned off some of the energy from what Roman's historic title reign was into this idea that Cody is finishing this story. And he does have his own story. You can tie this all the way back to where they've always tied it to before he left, when he left, him coming back, the title that his father never won. And it's a great story. Don't get me wrong, right? But it is an ancillary story. It is a story told parallel with the original story that you were telling, which is Roman's story, from being the big dog that nobody accepted, right, to changing up how he approached all of this, coming back, taking over the family, becoming the tribal chief, being acknowledged by Afonseca, right, and then him bringing his family back into prominence, and then the historic title run that nobody could topple, despite who you threw at him. That was Roman's story. That's why Roman, unlike Cody, got a grand orchestra playing his final match as champion, because it was Roman's story. It was always Roman's story. Cody just siphoned a little energy off of it. And that's why he still needs other people's energy to make his stories good. Roman can do it by himself. And I think that if Jacob were to have beat him, this would have been another chapter in Roman's story. Because I think Roman is the guy. As much as Cody wants to call himself QB1, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that the real starting quarterback doesn't have to call himself the starting quarterback. He just is. But, you know.
I mean, maybe somewhere out there in the timelines, there's this new 52 where Jacob, where Roman's now subservient. See, I think this is your comic book love coming out, where like, yeah, we can explore all these timelines where Superman loses his powers, but not in this run, brother.
No, not in this run. And what we get from this is it's going to be interesting, because they've just laid out so many good stuff with Solo and the MFTs, and now Jacob is falling in line. We get to see what happens with this. Do I think that Jacob is going to be elevated to the point where he is going to be a challenger again for Roman? No, I think he's going to follow the same route that Jay fell, where, you know, he is going to become a bigger star from this, because this is going to be one of the leading stories that WWE tells for the next little bit. And he's going to break out. He'll do some big things. Maybe he'll win a world championship, right? But is he ever going to be put in a position where he seems like a challenger for Roman again? I don't think so. And I think you're just going to continue to cycle through all the Samoans, because at the end of the day, it is Roman's story. It was always going to be Roman's story. It's just a matter of the question is, at least for me, is that does Roman have to be the champion to continue to tell his story? Like, does his mantra truly exist? Does the champion make the man, or does the man make the champion? Because if the man truly makes the champion, then he don't need the championship to still be the man. That's what that whole mantra means, right? And that's my whole thing, is that if Roman is here and Roman is the man, Roman doesn't have to have the championship to be the man. You can tell incredible stories around him, because he's built that status up. WWE's built that status up around him. He need to hold the gold to have it, right? And if he doesn't have the gold,
he does need Ulafala to be the tribal chief.
But now, does the Ulafala make the man, or does the man make the Ulafala? Like, did the position matter before Roman? I hope we never find out. Listen, WWE, if you could, please flesh this lore out for me. Send me a DM, send me an email. I would love to know, did the position of the tribal chief exist?
He wants the lineage of the tribal chief.
Did the lineage of the tribal chief exist before Roman had it? Or did this get
allegedly because there were accepted rules for tribal combat?
Very true. So what that means is nobody gave a damn about who the tribal chief was before Roman was. Therefore, the man makes the title.
It's because the tribe wasn't flourishing. Somebody was. They just weren't doing a good job of elevating the family.
Right. And so Roman did it, right? Which is why Roman is significant, not the Ulafala, the person who's wearing it. So you don't need the Ulafala for him to be who he is. He has transcended the necessity of it.
Maybe he'll find, and maybe we'll have that arc one day.
I think so.
But just not today.
Listen,
just not today.
If you think about it, they already tried it. They tried it with Solo. And Roman was still the man. Despite the fact that Solo had the Ulafala, he had the crew. When Roman didn't have a crew, he had to bring this bloodline back together, you know what I'm saying, to challenge Solo. And Roman was still the man, you know what I mean? But, hey, that's a alternate timeline version of history. because Roman beat Jacob, and we'll see what happens. I just hope that this turns out to be super cool, because for as cool as this can be, and I think it has all the ability to do it and do it very easily, you're going to have to make sure that you put time, effort, energy into writing something that is new and something that is fresh. Because so I think for as much as the fans right now love the idea of seeing the bloodline come back together with Roman with the title and stuff like that, I think you could run the risk of pulling the tread off these tires sooner than you think. And there could be
it does need to play out and go to different places than it did before. I will say that. Like, it does.
Yeah, we don't want to have a complete repeat of the bloodline again. It was good, but the sequel should not look exactly like the original. So through that, right, we get to Raw, and
I think we pretty much covered, honestly, by talking about other things. We got everything on Raw really, except for we get the Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker rematch.
Yes.
Just almost kind of out of the blue, I thought, but we do get it.
Why? No, this makes me.
I don't know either.
This worries me sometimes, right? Because why did we get this on Raw?
Don't know. I don't know. I was surprised when we did.
Same. It made me wonder, does WWE feel like this does not have enough legs? You know what I'm saying? To get to the next PLE. It concerns me. And honestly, I know obviously it was not planned for Logan Paul to get hurt. I think it's clear at this point.
Or for Braun Breaker to be limping around in the hotel afterwards. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah. He was not walking so good at the hotel after this match. So,
man, I hope he was just kind of bruised and banged up a bit. But boy, is the Vision the most cursed?
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Are they the most cursed faction ever? But yeah, it worried me a little bit, because obviously nobody was counting on Logan getting hurt, right? But man, the second I saw Braun Breaker with the tag team title on next to Theory, and listen, no disrespect to Theory. I'm not trying to be rude to Theory. I'm really not. But when I saw Breaker with that tag team title on next to Theory, and then I found out that the rematch with Seth was happening on Raw, I thought to myself, okay, so this must not have steam. At least some people must see that this does not have the steam that it needs, or they need some of these parts to plug in other places.
I think that's more what it is. Although, to be honest, I will say somewhere along the line it did lose steam for me. The Breaker and Seth and Heyman, it just through no fault of anyone's own, because everyone kept getting hurt. It was just it kind of missed the window, at least for me, in the blow off. And they could heat it back up. I'm not saying that, but it seems like everyone was just okay, somebody else is hurt. Now somebody else is hurt. We can't blow this off. And they never really could. And it just ended up being what it was.
Yeah. And so what concerns me at this point, right, is if you have this rematch on Raw, which you did, and Seth beat Braun, which, by the way, I did thoroughly enjoy how he beat Braun. He essentially got
the match was
wall.
great. Yeah.
Just putting the belt and kind of tucking it over so the ref didn't see it, and then he speared himself into unconsciousness. Yeah, great. Look, love that. It's the Juggernaut X-Men 2 or 3. Was it X-Men United or X-Men The Last Stand, when Juggernaut was chasing Kitty Pryde through the building and Kitty ran into the wall and he knocked himself out?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know, but I know exactly.
You know the scene, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. He pulled the Juggernaut on him and had him knock himself out. So, I love that. But my concern now is that if this was your blow off and this was WWE's way to kind of okay, we're going to put this to bed, right? Do we leave Braun Breaker in this tag team with Theory? Is he even in the King of the Ring tournament?
Who are you asking?
Braun Breaker.
I don't know. Let me find that bracket again.
Dear God, please don't let
so many
spoil
people.
It. Don't let King.
Oh yeah, Braun Breaker is in the tournament.
If Braun Breaker,
so is Seth.
If Braun Breaker does not compete in the finals against Obafemi?
Well, he can't because he's on the same side of the
they're on the
bracket.
same side?
Yep.
Okay.
If Braun Breaker wins his match, he will match up next round with Obafemi.
Okay, so he needs to match up against Obafemi. He needs to lose to Obafemi. Because either that or we get Brock costing Oba. Braun goes over. You put Braun as the winner of the King of the Ring. You shore him up for a title shot. You've already given Seth the dub in their feud, right? This puts Braun right back in the hot seat, right? Because he could challenge whoever he wants. Can you imagine if he challenges Cody and you get a Braun Cody program or Braun and Roman? Like, either way, that's what I said I loved about this tournament, because when you put a title opportunity at the top of that, you can open up the doors for whatever you want, depending on who wins, right? And I would love, as much as I love Obafemi, I would love if Obafemi does not win this. If he loses because Brock interferes, right? That just leads you to SummerSlam.
I think that is the likely outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, listen, if Braun Breaker were to win that thing, oh my gosh. You talk about a Cody program I would love to watch? Put Breaker against him. Put Breaker against him and have him beat him.
Seth is going to win and face Roman at SummerSlam.
I'm not mad at that.
I think that's what's going to happen.
I'm not mad at that.
I think the likely outcome is Seth beats Oba because Brock interferes, and then it's Seth and Roman at SummerSlam one night, and it's Brock and
Brock
the other night.
Okay, I'm sold there.
Yeah,
I think that is the likely. That is a huge marquee right there. And it does line up because Seth has been trying to get people to have his back, to align against division, but apparently we just put that to bed.
Maybe. I don't know necessarily if I think that was their final match.
Okay.
But maybe it was. We'll see. I did look up. Apparently the dirt sheets do say that Braun Breaker was just was shaken up, but is not injured.
Okay, good.
So that's good.
Yes,
if that is true. I mean, yeah, that match was good, but like I'm like you. I'm like, why are we getting this all of a sudden?
Yeah.
I will say, as much as I hate the spot and it hardly ever looks good, they did a really good catch the spear into a pedigree.
Yeah,
on the table.
That didn't look bad. And honestly,
I just think it always looks weird.
It does, because what it is that you're implying is that somebody moving that fast, that Seth is going to get them in a pedigree that's going to hurt worse than the landing that they're already going to take from the spear. It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But this is kayfabe, and we're playing our role here. So I can appreciate that. But look, Braun has got to play his part right now as well, because Logan's injured and that injury required surgery. So he's going to be out for a little while. Bronson Reed, I ain't heard about him in a while, right?
I saw him on Instagram. Man has been in the gym. I will say that.
Yeah.
He's looking good.
Well, maybe he's getting close to coming back, right?
Hopefully.
And look, maybe if he comes back, then maybe you put Bronson Reed with the pressure, and they can hold the tag team championships while Braun Breaker goes and does something else. But in the interim, Braun Breaker is the only other member of the division besides Austin Theory. So he's got to hold the tag team titles down, right? And there are competitors for the tag team championships who want to challenge for those things. So I don't know if they're done either, Braun and Seth. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not. And that could be a way that you reheat Braun and Seth, is by Seth winning King of the Ring, Seth going on to challenge Roman at SummerSlam, right? And to protect Seth loses to Roman because Breaker gets involved again. Because he already stated that Breaker is the reason why he's lost so many things already, right? Breaker cost him this match against Roman, right? And then you build to a bigger match, maybe with Seth and Breaker at Mania or Royal Rumble or something. I mean, because do you think that Seth is going to beat Roman in that match? Probably not.
No.
Right? So does Seth then take a clean loss to Roman? Probably not. Something's got to happen.
I don't even know if I should open this can of worms as we're wrapping up here.
We'll crack it. We'll keep it short.
What if the reason Seth loses at SummerSlam is that the new leader of the division comes back, CM Punk, who is back with his friend Paul Heyman, and in his time away has seen the light? I just thought of that. Doesn't make too much sense when you think about the Division and CM Punk and their interactions, but it's wrestling. It doesn't always have to be bulletproof and make sense.
I will say this. So
it's not the worst idea you've ever heard.
For as little sense as it makes with regards to certain members of the division, i.e. specifically Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
If you wanted a way to try and save or salvage the division, you put CM Punk at the head of that faction. That is a wrinkle that we have not added to Punk since his return, but we've proven that he can do it.
Sorry. Oh, Lord.
We've proven that he can do that. One of my favorite runs of CM Punk, hands down, was the Straight Edge Society, right? If you give me Punk as the leader of the division and give me something unique, give me something different, give him something to sink his teeth into, you could make that work. Now, suffice it to say, I definitely think that there's way more against this idea than for it.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Just simply with between the story of him and Paul, right? Like, how do you mend that fence off screen? That you know, like that, I feel like you'd be doing a disservice to the fans who bought into everything that you sold them through WrestleMania 41 to do that off screen. So, and then of course, like I said, you got the Breaker angle, right? Like, how do you square that circle? That Breaker is all of a sudden in line, unless you pull the same stunt you've been pulling the whole time, where Paul pulls strings that Breaker is not aware of.
Yeah,
you know, maybe that's his exit from the division. But either way, I was thinking about that. Not that angle specifically, but I was thinking, you know, we haven't seen Punk. We haven't seen Punk since his loss at Mania. So when he comes back, right, what is he doing? Where do you interject CM Punk into any story? Because there's been a lot that's happened since he's been gone. And, you know, where do you go with him? He's obviously going to just go into something good with someone, right? But Drew's been gone filming Highlander. So when he comes back, you're not going to throw him in another feud with Drew. And the only thing I could think that you would throw him in was a feud with Cody, because they teased a few things that did not come to fruition at WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? They teased some stuff, and it just didn't happen. It was after WrestleMania, because Punk was there for a little bit right after WrestleMania. And he was, because he was...
One night.
That's what I'm saying. And he was having those conversations with Cody about being open to opportunities, being ready when opportunities present themselves, right? And he and Cody had some verbiage that made it seem like they were about to go into a program. And then Punk disappeared. And did they write him off of TV for some reason? Like with an injury? Or did he just disappear?
No, he's just gone. He's left.
Good Lord, WWE. Just dropping storylines to do other stuff. Like, sometimes the stuff they do is just so confusing to me. It makes very little sense. But, you know, it's whatever. When he comes back, they'll need to interject him into something. And honestly, that wouldn't be a bad thing. My pipe dream that I know will never happen is that CM Punk comes back and he's let his hair grow a little bit. Like, I know he will never do it. I don't think he will. But if he let his hair grow just a little bit, get a little hang, give me a little bit of that feeling of the old Punk, make my year. But yeah, that pretty much
there hasn't been enough time to make that hair growth work yet.
No, it really hasn't. It really hasn't. But I mean, listen, if he came back, the only way I would accept AJ Lee back right now, and I say this with all respect to AJ Lee, but the only way I would accept AJ Lee back is if AJ and Punk came back and they had their fingers in a faction. Like, give me something different. You know what I'm saying? From the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Pull the thing that you should have done with Becky and Seth at one point, which is had Becky and Seth be the head of something. Remember when we used to talk about Becky potentially being the next member of the division?
Mm-hmm.
Do that with Punk and AJ. Have them lead something. Let AJ be a little different. Let Punk be a little different. Have some people underneath them. If what's her name didn't get released, the chick from NXT that Punk was real close to, she used to had the little skateboard. God, I can't think of her name right now. But I think she's from Chicago or something. But anyway, that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. And your SmackDown is probably already viewable on your television. So you'll probably have some answers to some things Skeeter and I have been talking about already.
Cora Jade, that's her name.
It.
Forgot
Yes,
about
if
her.
Cora Jade was still around.
It took me a while to remember her name.
I couldn't remember it at all. But if Cora Jade was still around, right, you got that little familial tie between them. Bring her into the fold.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? That's Braun Breaker's ex.
Well, she ain't here, no way. Hey, listen, talk about melding like real life and kayfabe together, right? Braun Breaker's like, I can't be a part of this faction. And for reasons.
Did you want to bring back the Lucha Lounge and talk about mask versus mask?
Okay, so I'll say this real quick.
You're gonna make it quick.
Yeah, I'll add this real quick.
Hey, 5.75 stars from Uncle Dave.
Out of what? Out of 10?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. Used to be out of 5.
Oh well,
now
listen.
It's 5.75 out of 5, brother.
Well, listen, it was in Mexico. It wasn't on American soil, so he's open. He's open to giving higher scores if it's not American professional wrestling.
I believe 7 stars is his current max.
Oh, well, I mean, that's pretty good for Dave. But listen, I will say this.
I believe 7 out of 5 is his highest rating.
I will say this, and I stated this a little bit on the live stream. If you have not seen that match and you really enjoy professional wrestling, do yourself a favor and watch it. Do yourself a favor and watch that match. Chad Gable is excellent. Ludwig Kaiser is excellent. I wish I knew his real name because he's El Grande Americano now. So Ludwig Kaiser is his old alias. But
isn't it Marcel Bartel?
Maybe I didn't know. I never knew it.
Or Barthel? Yeah.
Yeah. He is excellent. He's excellent. They're excellent. The storyline leading up to this has been really good. But even if you never saw the story, that match is fucking incredible. It is such a good match. And if I had a big board, it would be right back there. And if I wrote on it, my match of the year candidate currently, it would be Mask versus Mask at what is it, Lucha de Libre.
Lucha de los Noches.
Lucha de los Noches. Mask versus Mask. Grande Americano versus Grande Americano. That's an incredible match. Do yourself a favor. Watch that match.
Or Noche de los Grandes is what it was. Noche de los Grandes.
They ran that match on YouTube's AAA, on WWE's YouTube AAA channel. And it was so good. They ran it after Clash of Italy on Netflix.
And then after Raw.
And then they ran it after Raw on Netflix. I mean, the company getting behind it is indicative of how the fans received it, how the world of wrestling has received it. I feel so good for Chad Gable and Marcel. Yeah. I feel so good for them because these are the type of moments that make people's names. Maybe not their careers all the time, but it makes their names because their names are not going to be soon forgotten. Because the matches like that are that damn good. And it's the reason why us wrestling fans watch wrestling. Because of matches like that. It had story, it had heart, it had grittiness, it was bloody as hell. You know what I'm saying? It had all the bells and whistles, all the stops were pulled, they had interference.
Each other's masks, so they had an avenue to blade in. That's what I enjoy.
I will say this. It looked great when the mask falling off and blood oh my gosh, it looked good. Listen, I'm not ready to entertain the idea of Undertaker being Booker of the Year yet, but I will say this. He's done quite a bit with AAA, and I don't know if it's all him and if it's more so the exposure, but he has had a hand in it, so I will give him credit, and that match was incredible. Do yourself a favor and watch it. I can't praise it enough. It's the reason why I wear a mask. I'm not even bullshitting you because I fell in love with lucha wrestling and I fell in love with the culture. As a wrestling fan, I just wanted to be a part and I wanted to participate. And watching a match like that just reminds me of why that form of wrestling is fucking great. And I love it. So my hat's off to those guys. It was incredible. Do yourself a favor. Watch it. You won't regret it. Skeeter, let everybody know where they can catch us each and every week for this incredible podcast we call the Lariat Lounge.
The Lariat Lounge, once a week, every week. You can catch us on YouTube. Just search the Lariat Lounge. That's where you'll find all our episodes, the video and audio version of the podcast, all the prior episodes, the content library, including all our PLE live streams, all the future ones. That's where they'll be. That's where you'll find all our other content, be it special episodes or WWE 2K26 content, search the Lariat Lounge on YouTube. That's where you'll find us. The audio podcast still goes up every week on all your favorite platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever else you get your shows. That's where you'll find us. Head over to ProWrestlingTees.com/the Lariat Lounge. Get your merch. We got 6 great designs up there now, probably a 7th up there by the time you listen to that, and another one coming soon. But go get your merch over there at Pro Wrestling Tees. We're over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast. DMs are always open if you want to interact with us over there. The same goes for the inbox at the Lariat Lounge at gmail.com. Any thoughts about the wrestling world, our show, anything you want to talk about, those 2 avenues, contact us. We'll read them out on the show. We'll respond to it on the show. Just please get involved with us.
We really do appreciate it, guys. We thank you so much for hanging out with us each and every week. And listen, we both apologize, okay? Between travel schedules, between work, our schedules have been so freaking erratic. But Skeena,
audio issues, who knows? Everything that
difficulties.
has happened, everything that could happen. I don't want to say could, because who knows what else. But a lot of things have gone awry since I touched back down in the States.
Schedules,
broken
things. Monitors, lost audio, people not feeling well, work, you name it.
Rough.
It has been the gamut. But Skeena and I had a staff meeting earlier today. We're back on track for next week. So, look for your regularly scheduled programming. We'll be right there to deliver it to you. But seriously, we appreciate it, guys, for you hanging out with us and sticking it out through this crazy 2-3 weeks. Been really appreciative. From your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens, this has been another edition of the Lariat Lounge. Please watch yourself on the way out.